here for the committee of the whole meeting, March April 14th, excuse me. For those online, we are, be aware our meetings are recorded for public viewing, placed on a publicly available website. We don't have anyone in the gallery, so it's no need to alert anyone here. That was kind of my call to order, so we'll acknowledge that we are on unceded First Nations land of Ihatasach territory.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you for that, councillors Lewis and Deck. Any additions, deletions? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
So should adopt the minutes of the March 10th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you for that, councillors Lewis and Deck. Errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, we've got no delegations of petitions to correspondence. We received this correspondence from the Comox Strathcona Waste Management report on the solid waste plant. I was just wondering via email, actually, if if we wanted a presentation on this. I know that we haven't really gotten many answers about the hard date on the closure of our landfill. In the report, I did get a chance to read it. It says 2029. So that's still kind of on board, although they're looking at different ways to cap our landfill, I noticed. But really what I was concerned about, the two answers that we hadn't really received any, or two questions we hadn't received any answers on, was about the compost, what education or system that they are going to put here, or they're going to promote, or what that looks like, and the public consultation on the place of the transfer station. So that was really, I was just wondering if anybody wanted a presentation from them so that they could answer those questions. That's why it's here, as well as being correspondence, but I'll leave it to the table to discuss.
Yes,
Councillor Dick.
jump in and discuss. I think those are reasonable questions, but after being at every meeting for the last 3 years, this report is hopeful. Every one of the last 4 meetings has been a disappointment. Something else has gone wrong. Something else has gone wrong. Fortis is asking for more time on this capturing the methane gas, and so much time and money's been put into this project. A lot of the directors are going, oh God, this isn't going to happen. Quadra at a transfer station, recycling place. Recycle BC dropped the ball somewhere. It was supposed to open in a couple of weeks. Not going to open till October, November. So my point is, I don't really think Waste Management knows what they're doing right now. They're trying to get some things done, but they're just getting hit from the side every time they stand up. And I'm hoping in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, to be able to just talk to some people down there in person and get a read on what's going on. Because I don't think this landfill will be done in 2029. And you don't either. We're hoping that things will come together, right? And we'll have a concrete answer on the transfer station, but what's involved there, but not yet. So that's my point of view.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yes, yes.
Is it the methane release from the Campbell River and the Comox Valley?
Yes.
Landfills? Okay,
Yes.
that's what I was just curious. There was talked about Fortis, so they're getting kind of. What I'm hearing you say is they're getting some negative and time delaying responses from other regulatory authorities.
Absolutely.
Okay, so not really specific to like the renewal of the plan necessarily. And I do see that when I sent the email out, CAO Nelson Smith said there's a lot of mays and coulds in the plan because I think they're finding that they do come across those things. So these are things that may happen or could happen or they'd like to see. So in order to cover their bases on that, that's how they've.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And in my opinion, they have some great people working there. They really are, top notch. But some of the directors are getting mad. They're getting PO'd. And I can understand it because they've been working on these programs for a long time. And they feel like they're going backwards. Especially the last meeting. The director from Quadra was almost in tears. She was so mad. And she works like a dog too. You know what that is, Maquinna. Yeah. So there you go. That's my take.
Thank you for that, for clarifying. Does that bring up anything for anybody else or did anybody else have any questions or comments?
Stand by.
So then what I'm hearing from that then is it's not really a conversation that we want to have maybe right away with them while they're getting this piece, this the updated plan out, that maybe that's a possible meeting that you could have or questions that you could have in your meeting that you're planning on having in 3 weeks.
Yep.
Or alternatively, after this process is done, that we could ask them to come in then and say, we still have some unanswered questions. We know that the language inside the report or the updated plan allows for some of these things, but not others, but we're still really curious about, landfill and composting, or sorry, landfill, transfer station
Yeah.
and composting. Does that sound kind of maybe like a plan going forward for
I
us?
think that's prudent.
Okay.
Do you have a date on this report? I remember it was April 7th to 24th, something like that. It's here.
What do you mean when it was
The
sent?
front page, and then,
It was sent out March 23rd
yeah,
or March 27th, I think.
yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think that they said there was 6 weeks before they were going to put it in or something.
Yeah.
So that would make
May 2026.
May 2026, yeah. So, 6 weeks before they put it in. So sometime after that, we'll kind of maybe try to nail them down. But as it stands right now, there's no real questions or comments on the plan itself, the updated plan itself.
Yeah.
Valid. Okay?
Says also here, stuff might go to Pat or might go to probably Neil, right?
Yeah,
They're looking at
well,
that
that's a
one.
good place to take garbage, don't you think? People up there,
Not for that. Oh, I see why, yeah. That makes sense.
yes, okay.
Yeah, 7 miles so much closer, just
Hmm.
geographically, why? Yeah, so that's part of the conversation as well, or part of the questions as well, if they've got that decided.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so,
What do you think are, like, is it better for us if the landfill stays open as long as possible? Does anybody think that or?
I do,
Yeah,
100%.
I kind of do just because.
The ground is already
That's
contaminated.
right. So I mean,
Keep doing what they're doing. Dump it, cover it, and then put the film or whatever
Yeah.
is gonna be over top of it, and it's done.
sure. I mean, if there's a input, well, I think we should push it as long as possible, right?
I think that's the bigger plan going forward is to extend
7,
that.
8, 10 years or something, and I don't know, I've heard that it's getting pretty close to capacity, but I just wondered what everybody felt.
Yeah, I think the plan has been to kind of extend that as much as possible. The only real kind of bump in that was really when they took the old school down, and that was many years ago, and it's been compacted, and the workers out there do a really good job of trying to, maintain some airspace for us to make the longevity of it better, so.
And also,
The longer the longevity.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hudson's cohort out there who's not working right now, Sean, can't believe that they're gonna close it so soon.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said, unbelievable. He said this could last for years, the way we're doing it.
Right.
And is it more harm by doing that than it is trucking stuff to 7 miles?
Not at this point.
No, hell no.
Fill the place up and.
Maximize it, cover it, move on.
So I think from about 10 to 12 years ago, we have to update this every 5 years in order to give it to administrative environment. I believe it's every 5 years. They do an update every 5 years, and then a complete redo of the plan every 10. If my memory is correct, I might not be, but I think so. I've been 8, so 10. I think probably 10 or 12 years ago, there was like a 2026 date on this. There was a 2025 date on this. So it has been extended, a lot in the past, just for usage and what's been going in it. I think they always try to make that bar really, really the expectation that there'll be a lot more weight put in than there is, just so that they can kind of get a handle on it and have some time for planning.
Right.
So.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that is that one. So then moving forward on that, we will, after May sometime, we'll ask maybe for a presentation to discuss landfill longevity, how the longevating the and the landfill and
Jeopardizing the elongation.
yes, there you go. And composting and transfer station kind of dates, locations, times, that kind of time frame.
Is there a way we can lobby for that? Like
I've tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think I had 4 noses and 3 eyes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Like that's craziness. Yeah.
It's a blanket thing across the province, and wow, no exceptions. Isn't that right, Mayor?
Yeah, landfills are a thing of the past.
So gotta let bureaucracy and red tape.
Yeah.
Let it last.
We don't just put our, not even our garbage, we don't call it garbage anymore. We don't call it a dump, we call it a landfill.
Yeah.
And we don't put our waste in a hole in the forest and bury it anymore. That's not what we're doing.
No.
Guaranteed.
Well, actually, that's what we are doing
Oh,
right now, but
That's not what we're gonna do.
that's not what we're doing.
It's so convenient.
Okay, so thank you for that, and thank you, Councillor Deck, for all of your good information on bringing back what the board has
And
to
if I
say.
may,
Please.
if we get asked Sarah to come and talk to us on Zoom or whatever, I have more confidence in her than half the other people put together. She knows her stuff.
Sarah.
Willie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I asked her, how are we making out Zeballos there? Because they were talking about measuring other landfills. And she says, well, it's kind of hard to tell. We're not that scientific. We get Maquinna to come in with the transit and they kind of guess how much more is being put in, but that doesn't account for the pit run that goes on top of it, whatever. So she said, we don't really know. We just said, educated guess.
Yeah, and I know that they have in the past done like small like batch studies almost of like getting a garbage bag and figuring out what is in that garbage bag, and then they take 3 and then they average those 3 garbage bags up. So it's anybody's guess whether they find household waste or something off a boat or what they find. So it is just an educated kind of guess. Once you're in the business of waste, the business of waste.
Yeah. Well, I was a garbage man in, when did they get married? 1972? Yeah. In North Vancouver. And tons and tons of garbage waste came to the Premier Street landfill. And they had all these plans that there were gonna be tennis courts and parks and apartments on this giant area. And that's before they knew the methane gas was coming. Now it's nothing there.
Yeah, between the leachate and the methane,
Yeah.
you can't just, even with the log waste dump.
Hmm.
The methane on that's not even really leachate, that's just organic kind of material, but it's, yeah, it gets hot.
Yeah.
And releases gases, and so we have to deal with that environmentally. Okay, thank you for that. That's amazing. Really good conversation. Appreciate that. We will put that on a future, maybe a June or a July or something like that, kind of, once
Yeah.
they've got this submitted. All right, was there any questions from staff about any of the, okay, perfect, and that will come to regular to ratify anyways, perfect. Reports, we have a capital and operation and a municipal tax rate conversation coming up. So staff report for the capital plan review. We've made a bunch of updates and refinements. And so those are all included in this report. It must be, we're on a time schedule here, which is why we're doing it. It has to be ratified for first reading next regular meeting. Correct?
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully, depending on what council's conversation is this evening, we hope to get first, second, and third reading done at the April 28th regular meeting. That will allow for the final reading to take place in the beginning of May. Perfect. Before the deadline.
Thank you for that. So we are reviewing this and then including it in our 5-year 2026 to 2030 financial plan. And so this has incorporated a bunch of directions already, but we're just looking for finalization, correct? Okay, is there anything that you wanted to add to that or anything? I think we've done capital quite a bit.
Yeah, thank you. No, so the current schedule that you have in front of you encapsulates all of the refinements up until that point. So you guys have seen it quite a few times. There hasn't been any additional changes in this version, but it's same as it was the last time it was brought forth to council. So unless council has any further input on the numbers or items that are on that schedule, then yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And it's good, I think it's good that all three of these are here right now because we can talk about how one affects the other and how we can kind of, opinions not the right word, but make them all work together. So on the capital plan, we've got a schedule kind of graph here with us for the meeting. Was there anything further that council would like to see moving forward? Again, for public's sake, capitals are buildings, roads, water systems, and assets, essentially. Questions or comments?
I'm happy with where we've come to so far. Have no changes to suggest or complaints. I'm happy.
I think we've done a pretty good job of offsetting capacity of staff, needs of community, and any kind of up and coming anomalies that could come at us. And obviously staff have put this together, so you have had amongst yourselves conversations about, I mean, of course, the will of council is the will of council, but talking about things like capacity of staffing and summer staff and added tax on, village infrastructure and those things over the summer seasons, that you've had those conversations in-house.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
And we're always looking for more ways to make money, right? To generate some. And Hudson suggested that he might be able to take people for rides in his Tonka truck.
bucket truck rides. Oh, I mean,
He's pretty happy with it. Get away from my truck.
oh, the new electric thing, the new.
Yes.
You're still looking at getting the Yaris too, is that correct?
That's right.
All right,
No, couldn't be happier with the truck we have.
that's cool.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Perfect. I don't see, I think we've done a really good job at this, so I don't see any changes with this one. Unless there's anything pressing.
No, we've talked about this enough.
Yeah, should have a break.
Okay, so then that'll come for ratification inclusion in the plan, or do we make that motion here?
There is a recommended
Recommendation.
motion.
I would move that council direct staff to include 2026 capital plan as presented in 2026 to 2030 5-year financial plan bylaw for first reading the April 28th, 2026 regular council meeting.
I second that.
And did I hear that staff needed a first and second and third reading? Or was that,
Yeah,
so it'll come for
Council's discretion.
first reading? And then we could do it okay, perfect, thank you for that. I just didn't want to make this motion that we're only doing first reading and then we can't do the second and third, so, okay. At least the first reading, got it. So questions or comments about that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? That one is carried. So on to operating budget. So, operating budgets we've talked about as well. When was that? February, yes, and outstandings, and then also, audit. And then also, some operating or some tax revenue losses. So, we have looked at this before. But this is a really good look at it. Thank you for the report, CFO Denise. We did agree to go draw from accumulated surplus. And this one as well will have a recommendation in the end if we are good with it, that we've reviewed it. And that after we talk about the tax rate, that's included as well. So how are we feeling? Actually, is there anything that staff wanted to add before we?
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that.
I'll just highlight that, included on the schedule, this one.
Mhm.
You'll notice that, there's been some nominal changes. So what's happened is, as the year has progressed, we've received, some outstanding 2025 invoices. So that's changed some of the numbers on here. Based on council's direction at the March 24th meeting to make up that $37,000 revenue shortfall from taxation. Staff have gone through the operating budget and we've gone through each department and made some expense cuts, which are noted in the body of the report. So there will be some changes along with that as well. So we were able to cut about $29,000 from our operating expenses. So the remaining amount that would make up the difference is about $3,600 that would be funded through surplus. So the two main areas that I'd like to bring to council's attention on this schedule is the taxation revenue line under 2026 proposed. You'll see there's a figure there for $237,000. That's based off of our staff recommendation for tax revenue for 2026. And that will make more sense when we go into the tax rate scenarios. So we've inserted that number there, assuming that council proceeds with our recommendation. So if council chooses another scenario, that figure would change. On the expense portion, so the backside of that schedule, please direct your eyes to the transfer to reserves line. that $95,000 figure is also directly correlated to the tax revenue recommendation that we've put forward. So that number could increase or decrease based on what council decides for tax rate scenario. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
How many hours did you put in?
A lot, all of them.
Yeah. I've seen you every day that I come in here working on this. So who am I to argue? I think scenario 3 is the way to go. You recommended it for a good reason. I'm with you.
Any other questions or comments from council?
I just have one question.
Please.
So
Excuse me.
if we take your advice and go with your direction, would you consider us caught up?
That's a good question, and it's tricky to answer because essentially there are so many outside pressures that are actually, if you take a look at that diagram that's on the table right there,
Yeah.
it's a good visual of, you know, everybody wants a piece of the pie. So even with that revenue increase, there's essentially, we're trying to balance how much our taxpayers can bear with how much we need to actually operate. So, I mean, yeah, you could double that amount and it would be beneficial to the municipality, but then you also have to take into account the impact that it's gonna have on the taxpayers. So it's kind of a tricky question to answer. And, you know, a lot of our revenue is actually, it's grant based, right? We're heavily funded through the small community grant. So in an ideal world, in larger municipalities, the tax base supports such a huge portion of the operations and they're not relying on a grant like that, right? So if you want to truthfully look at it that way, the amount of revenue that we should be bringing in should be like $500,000, right? Because we a huge portion of it comes from the small community grant.
The amount we should be is 500, and where are we at altogether?
With our tax base, if you look at the scenarios, it will show you.
And
Yeah.
grant.
Well, the small community grant that we received is about $370,000.
Right.
If you think of it in a situation where, you know, if one day the province says, you know, we're unable to provide this grant anymore, then that's a huge revenue shortfall for the village, right? And that in many communities, they don't get the small community grant specific to small community. So yeah, to answer your question, in an ideal world, the municipality would need to cover that in order to function.
What would be the basis if of a community, small community to not get it?
It's not
Self-sufficiency?
No, there's a population threshold. I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head, but there's a population threshold.
So we're okay.
The purpose of that small communities grant was put to municipalities with really small,
I understand.
under 5,000, I think is what it was actually.
Yeah, that might be right.
And so to make up for that shortfall that they can't do regular business. So we make more from our small communities grant than we essentially do in our tax base, raising tax, no matter what we do with taxes essentially.
So no more babies, okay?
We don't want to pass that 500,000 or 5,000. Right?
So we're not in any danger of losing this grant really at all, is what we're saying.
As far as like.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But
Depending on the government of the day and what how they want to take care of the province and their municipalities. We are children of the province. So we get whatever they give us. And if they choose not to feed us, then we don't get fed.
So that brings me to my next question is, I don't want to go too far with this, but what's a good way to increase our revenue? What's our best way right now? And our number one best way to increase the revenue, to increase whatever way. What do you guys think?
I think it's something else. It's certainly not raising taxes.
No, I
That's
agree.
just not gonna do it, because I've seen the numbers on what we do raise already. We'll lose half of our people, they'll just walk out of town.
That's why my first question was, are we caught up?
Yeah, yeah,
Because we can't keep trying to.
no, is there any chance that any industry would want to come here?
That would be my, number, economic development, economic development, economic development. So we have our municipal boundaries to work within. How are we maximizing our dollars with that? So how are we attracting large businesses? What are we doing to do that? It's a tough question to answer here. My answer to your question would be, community forest. Like I've seen lots of municipalities do things like that, but there has to be some kind of recognition on what we're doing to advance that economic development portfolio within the village, because right now it's status quo, and the further we go into that with no big industry or massive tourism push, that and also what can we handle, right? So yeah, it's a much larger question to kind of, and even when we did have a kind of what was the community forest, which is like the corporation that shall not be named, the NSCDC, with Gold River, Tassus and Zeballos. That's why we did that, was because we needed revenue and forestry was booming. So get in on that, and the three communities went together. Triport has another one. I think they have a community forest up there, Port McNeil, Port Alice, Port Artie, and they're doing great up there with that. So
What three communities here?
we were Gold River, Tassus, Zeballos. That's what it was. And then there was a breakup of the makeup of the company.
So I think, I can't say when, because it's hard to, but I'm pretty sure that Hattis is going to do some major expansions at some point. And that would tell me that, like, that's going to bring some work here, and bring some people here. And I think our goal should be to try to accommodate the servicing some of our land that we have. Like we're already on our way a little bit with what we're trying to do with a mobile home park, and to provide more lots, more space. And I think on the opposite side of that, there is some room where the ski park is, that we could develop and have some serviceable lots or some service lots and be able to sell them. And I do think there could be a chance for people to come and build on them, or come and bring mobile homes, pre-built homes. And I think that is what's going to drive us first. And then if there is any industry that comes, there's going to be extra places for people to buy, to live, to be able to be part of our community, right? So, without that, we don't have the basis to really expand our revenue or our tax income. And with that, if we can get 10 houses in there, that's going to increase them by quite a bit, right?
Well, hey, you're smarter than you look, man.
Oh, nice.
Because you look all over the province, they want doctors to come. Where are we gonna live?
Yeah,
There's no place for them.
yeah.
The housing is so short in this province that that's an excellent idea. But the housing ready to go first, and there are gonna be lots of workers coming to the house. It may not be quite as fast as some people think, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the ball rolling.
If you build it, they will come.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, look at, we've got a double wide trailer or whatever,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden the CAO showed up.
yeah, it's true. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a bad idea.
And yeah, well, I forgot my last comment.
But that is the start you want.
Right. Oh, my last comment was, I think, a rural community like ours has become extremely more attractive for people to come to and to live in. And it's like, now it's become like this sought after thing. Yeah, where like, what I really want to do is this, right? And I think that if we, like if we build it, they'll come. I believe that. So I think us trying to make a plan for going forward to be able to accommodate more building and more houses and more properties. I think that this should be our first goal, you know? And then like, or I have a feeling like in 2 months from now, we're gonna see Zeballos like just right full of people. I think this summer is gonna be like the biggest we've seen.
Yeah.
Or the biggest I have for sure.
Every year,
Yeah.
it just gets bigger.
Be a carnival.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's try to accommodate, you know, and anyway.
So while we're, talking about that and having those conversations, this is a big reminder to be talking not only about that because it's chicken before the egg or egg before the chicken or however, this is a circular conversation. So right now we are out of compliance with liquid waste. We cannot hook up another home. That's not the way that we can't do that. So those are things that have to be beefed up first. The water infrastructure, the sewer infrastructure, those are conversations that need to be had before we're doing any kind of, getting ready for the influx of people, right? So those infrastructure projects need to take precedent.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Dick, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, if I may, Councillor Janice has already put forward a motion to find, can we get more infrastructure here? Can we get more sewage treatment here? And if I read your report properly, nobody's talking to you. Are they? They're not answering you. So what the hell do you do?
So I'll let staff, I'm not aware of okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'm gonna let staff get into it.
Thank you. Just referring to our outreach to provincial ministries. We're receiving absolutely zero response.
Gotcha.
However, we did reach out to one ministry, and this is what I wanted to speak about. Tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, we are meeting with one of the staff members from the Ministry of Jobs, Economic Growth, JEG. And if anyone from council would like to join us, it's just a high-level conversation. Their primary objective is economic development, it's economic growth. And with so many projects contingent on funding, this is why I've invited Jeff, who is the staff member, to meet with us to give us some options of how we can start developing some of this capital, particularly for the east side sewer and for our wastewater treatment plant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I welcome anyone from council to join us in that meeting.
What time is that?
3:30?
Yeah, I think it's 3:30.
3:30.
Send out a invite if you would.
Sure.
That would be great. That'll be a reminder to anybody via email about at SRD meeting, of course. I would love to be a part of that conversation though, so maybe, yeah. I'll have a conversation with you about that later. Just kind of trying to like work that out because there's been a lot of meetings on Wednesdays when I'm at the SRD, and so I just kind of want to get a handle on that, right? Because it can't be two places at once, and these are really important for the future of the village to kind of move these things forward. And if there are things happening that are even adjacent to our boundaries, like, then what are those opportunities as well? Because if we don't have the capacity to expand our services here, then what are those other outlying, like in the close range kind of area that we could be a part of or invest in or as they, so. Right, trying to beef up our revenue. Okay, thank you for that. Back to this, you said that you cut, does anybody else have any, sorry, I won't, on what Councillor Denise was saying?
No, I'm with
It's not
them
that
100%.
conversation. You said that you found a 2,900, essentially 29,000 decrease in operations. And that's without cutting any current servicing that we're already doing?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, we took a look and we basically reprioritized some of the items that we had in the budget. So some were determined to be, we could push them off to other years. Some items we figured might be able to be eventually covered through grant funding. So we were able to go through and cut out 20.
perfect. Thank you for that, because that's always my concern is when we're cutting the operating budget, which we're operating on, really, we're only doing water, sewer, garbage. So what are you cutting out of that operations that we're, okay, perfect. Thank you. Glad to hear that. All right. So this will, there's a recommendation included in here as well in this report. Yeah, I still don't like in this operating budget, the transfer from reserve and the transfer to. That's a big hit on this community. And especially if we're talking about supplying more, kind of services for people to move here, for industry to be here. That number just crawls up my spine. I know that they are for projects that we have done, we are in process of doing, and that need to be done, and we have had a lot of kicks, but really replenishing that reserves and beefing up our infrastructure should probably be two of the main things we're going forward, because one relies on the other sometimes. Yeah. Councillor Deck?
Yes, you're right. We need help from the outside. We can't generate this money ourselves. But being retired, I have not much else to do but watch the news a lot. And today, the Liberal government has got a majority, and their big program is housing for the country. They're throwing money at housing. Maybe they'll throw a little bit our way. I don't know where to start when it comes to putting in an idea or a perspective to them, but they always want every community to have more housing built and more affordable. Well, we haven't built too much lately, so we should be near the top of the list, really.
And I think that we have already started doing that when we're talking about the mobile home park, because that is our opportunity. Those are already serviced. They already have hookups. They already have, right? So those are included in our available kind of bank to draw on, right? They are already included in our servicing. If that's, am I not correct?
You are not, no.
Okay.
No, so that part of the recent technical report we got from Maquinna on the mobile home park is to make sure we can get them serviced.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, right now, and Hudson can correct me if I'm wrong, but the infrastructure that's in there is sub-service. It's, incorrect PVC for water, which is, not usable. And
just because they had been serviced doesn't mean it's, my assumption was that it was just going to be low hanging fruit rather than putting brand new in, but maybe that's not the case. So yeah. Okay, perfect. We are looking at it though. We've started, right? We are getting it right.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Conversation started and it's.
Yeah.
It can get a lot better.
Yeah, if this breakout play doesn't work, get another one. We just our CAO is still really young. He's got lots of energy. If we give him some direction, I'm pretty sure you'll come up with something.
And the other thing I will mention before we stop this conversation is there is gonna be some renewals with the First Nation, with the Haudenosaunee Nation, right? So we can look at that too as part of our plan forward, right?
Yes.
And partnering with them more and having service agreement that makes sense for us so that we can survive and take care of each other.
So there's strength in numbers.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, hopefully we can revisit, sharing some water treatment stuff and,
Yeah.
you know, you never know. But I know that if we all, make a plan and, you know, it becomes concurrent, then it could make us a lot stronger, so. And maybe that's the plan. Maybe we all need to rise up at the same time, you know, and provide more.
And if I may, in this day and age, what better scenario than a nation and us bums over here working together
Mm-hmm.
and succeeding?
Sure.
There's only us out here. Like, we're pretty alone out here.
Yeah.
There's just us. So we have to be able to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, like, the important part about that is both sides gotta realize that nobody's going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope.
You know, and we're gonna all be here. You know, like, I'm pretty sure most people in Zeballos aren't planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm pretty sure that happens in the Hatteras Tinicate there too. So
Yeah, and they just want to move membership home. So there's an added.
that's part of their
Right,
goal,
yeah.
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 And yeah, so I think working together would be really convenient.
You've been here a long time, Mayor Julie. Do you think it's doable?
I think it has been in the past and it will be again, 100%. And it is currently, but there's a lot of things that we do together. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There, like I said, it's only us here. We can't, we can't, nobody can do anything without anybody else really, right? So,
No.
yeah.
And Barb, you've been here a couple of months.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's doable? Can we work together?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Really good conversations, and also be thinking of this, keep this conversation and this video is always available. You can look back on it when you're doing strategic priorities, right? Because these are really good strategic priority conversations. So put that in there. So we don't have any recommendations right now. We have reviewed this. Then we're going to talk about tax rates. So the recommendations will come out of the tax rate conversation. I'm correct? So are we kind of through with operating?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Perfect. So I'm just gonna leave that there as a note to make sure that the tax rate, this encompasses that. Okay. We are on to then, if everybody's good on that conversation,
I'll say one more thing.
please do.
I think the other thing we can capitalize on is if we had a marina. We have a municipal marina where people could moor their boats in the summer. And it was like exclusive to like more recreational fishing, this kind of stuff. And not all the commercial like stuff that's going on the federal side of the marina. I think that would be very attractive to visitors and to potential people that want to live in Zeballos, you know, in their new houses that are gonna go down there.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to tax revenue and tax rate scenario. We have in front of us 3 scenarios that staff has worked really hard on. We have always communicated this as a percentage, which for myself, it's hard to wrap myself around it. It almost seems like we're speaking apples and oranges in this. So I've gone through this really, really carefully, and I hope you all have too, because it is kind of a new way of thinking of it. I have a question about that, but I'll wait till I kind of introduce this about how we convey that percentage change that we've always done to the taxpayer, because that's what they're essentially going to be looking for. So I will do that, but so that's a prepare for that answer if you want stuff. So we do have a 30,000 property that became exempt to was a tax exemption this year. We've kind of done that through the staff have worked at the operating budget and kind of done a leveling of that field, which is fantastic. And thank you to council for saying if we didn't do that and we could take it out of surplus, that's where the balance would come, or that's where it would have come if they hadn't slashed and hacked their operations budget. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go through, just ask any questions that you have. There's 3, and there's also a appendix on the back that kind of gives you those 3 scenarios all laid out in a table for us, which was extremely helpful. Thank you. I'm gonna start off because that question is a burning question in my mind. How are we going to, in the report here to us, it says, you know, $1 increase, right? So scenario 1 is a $23,000, almost $24,000 increase. What does that correlate to in a percentage? And how are we going to educate our residents on what that looks like, what we're trying to accomplish here and what they've always been used to?
I'm happy to answer that.
Okay.
Thank you. So, I think that the answer to that is we don't promote the percentage to them at all. We explain to them in the dollar impact per month to a residential property at a specific assessment value. So if you look in the middle section of the tax rate scenario sheet, you'll see the 4 scenarios there, right? And that it uses assessment value of 100,000, 200,000, and 300,000. The median property value in Zeballos is $123,000, right? So very low. And I think what should be focused on is the monthly and annual impact to those properties. I really don't think that percentages have any relevance because our tax base is so small, right? So like a 20% increase to our tax revenue is going to be peanuts in comparison to larger municipality, right? I think that the way of the world, I think that there's this shift happening across the province of municipalities shifting away from using the percentage model and towards using dollar figures. So I think really the messaging that needs to go out there is that percentages, take that out of your brain, you know, let's stop using that. And this is really what the impact to you as a taxpayer, as a residential property owner, this is what it's going to look like, right? Because
so I understand that, but I also, in the media, in the news, say where its tax rate went up 67%.
Yeah.
That is what people are looking for. That's the information. So how does this correlate to a percentage? And I can see people getting really stuck on that. So that's,
This is why we're moving away
of course,
from it. A very real life example was the news reported that the town of Oliver, who did their taxes exactly the same way that we're doing ours this year. The news got a hold of it and did the math and figured it was 22% increase.
yes.
And so the townspeople went crazy.
Yes.
It worked out to about $240 per household over the year. Now, right next door to Oliver is Kelowna. They did a 4.3% increase, and that's how they promoted it. And that was a $200 per household increase. So you can see how percentages don't work because the increase per household was exactly the same in dollar value, but one was a very large percent and one was a very small percent.
Because laid out over the residence
That's
and the
right.
amount of folios you have. I 100% get that. I get it. I'm just hoping, I'm just hoping for the best here in the office when people hear that we're not doing percentages anymore, because we've always run on percentages. That's how we've always done business. And now we're trying to do something new. So that's all I'm trying to put out there is how are we going to teach this to our residents that the percentages don't matter, that really we're doing a 3% raise and we're getting, you know, it's a $50, right? Like we've only ever raised it a percentage. So now that we're talking about actual dollar money, right? So if we raise, this is an example. We raised the taxes 3% 3.5% last year. we only made an extra $50 per property. What we're doing now is we're talking about actual tangible dollars, and we're talking about $200. So we're not raising it that small percentage and trying to keep things, affordable for people. We're actually talking dollars and cents here, and $200 is a hard kind of pill for people to swallow when it should be $57.83. Do you know what I mean? Because they're always used to that percentage. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, key messaging is a real important thing. And if that's, maybe it makes sense to put a flyer in with the tax notices, explaining in a very simple way, like this is what it looks like.
But your suggestion is to not do that at all, is to just leave it alone and wait till people come in.
I think that, it might be worthwhile putting out some sort of messaging to get ahead of the game. But I think what also the council needs to consider throughout this process is the increase in taxes. It's gonna increase the amount that can be put into reserves, right? And that is also what we put into reserves is what's needed to fund a service. So it's like, like how much are you wanting to fulfill, like how much are you wanting to replenish these reserves, right? And that's been part of the conversation at the table. I've heard it a few times. So it seems like it is a higher priority. And the fact of the matter is that if the revenue isn't increased, then that just gets deferred to another year, right? And so it's going to have to happen at some point. It just went, right? And so if there's a steady increase and we're not using the 3.5% or 5% increase, then we're actually going to be able to get ourselves into a position where we're going to be able to catch up. But so I think personally, staying away from percentages is a very, very important thing.
It's super valuable, and but this is a new concept for people, and I'm just wondering about that public. I know why we're doing it. I get it. Dollars and cents we're talking dollars and cents. It's real money. It's not a percentage. It's not right. But we've had conversations in the past ever since I have been. And I'm not saying that things shouldn't change and this isn't the way we should be doing it, because this absolutely is. That tangible dollar amount is the way we should be doing it. I fully agree on that. It's just teaching people a new way to do things and a new mindset to have. And so validating that we have gone through years where I have been on council, or just before I was on council, where nobody raised any taxes for an extended period of time. And we're still dealing with the ramifications of that. So I get that. And doing like a COLA, which is the 3.5%, which is not what we're doing this year, but that's the way people are used to dealing with it and having it represented to them. So that was my only concern, was getting ahead of that in the public's. Well, like, let's train them first, but I mean, I would take that's staff's prerogative how they're going to promote or put that information out. So that was my concern, was how we are going to train our people to look at it in a different way that means more sense in an actual dollar amount and not in a percentage. I understand it, but it's taken me a while to come around to it. So it's like, how does the regular person deal with that? Councillor Dick.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it should be relatively easy to describe the change to all the residents here. I'm sure there'd be some people that just don't want to get it.
Oh, there's always some.
And that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Me, I'm kind of a simpleton. If I see on my bill that, whoa, I'm only paying $9 a month more, hey, that's a good deal. Now, maybe for Councillor Janice, where he's got a fancy home and lots of land, he's going to pay $24 a month more. Well, he might not like that, but if they understand we need this money, we have to have this money, otherwise the village is going to go, the lights are going to come off. And I think we just have to tell them that in simple English. We need this money. This is a simple way for people to understand how much they're going to pay. And it's a lot simpler for the staff to deal with.
My family's just gonna go from 2 meals a day to 1.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's fair, I think.
Well,
All right. so
Something else I wanna say about that then?
Please.
There's only 70 houses here. I mean, even if 20% of them of people need help, it's gonna be 14 people to come and ask questions. I don't think it's gonna be that complicated. It's probably just gonna be people who are frustrated. with The economy and everything,
yeah.
everything inflating, you know, that's a reality too, is
And
Everything's
our
inflating.
regular complainers will be here.
maybe, yeah,
Absolutely.
everything's inflating and we have to like inflate with it. Because we have to keep giving people what we've been giving them all this time. So it's not that complicated.
Okay, so that was just the one question. Further questions. So that was the correspondence to percent. Was there anything that anybody else kind of had on this? Does somebody want to make a recommendation? I'm not sure.
I moved towards we select scenario 3 as basis for a 2026 tax rate bylaw, reflecting a value increase of 33,746.9 municipal tax revenue. And then staff be directed to prepare the 2026 tax rate bylaw for first reading the April 28th, 2026 regular council meeting.
And if I may, I'll second that.
Thank you.
Perfect. And questions or comments about it? I'm not gonna support it at this time, just because of all of the exterior pressures that we've got going on. This is a lot for 70 households to take. I think that I'd be way more comfortable with 1 or 2 because of gas, because of food, because of all that kind of stuff, and also because of the kind of pulling back of our operations and things like that in order to cover that 30,000 lack of that $30,000 property. I just don't think that this is the year to do it. And not that anything is ever gonna get any better, because I know that next year things aren't going to be any better, but maybe I have hope that they will be. That we'll have a good service agreement in place, that we will have really good rates that are done on that we will, and I think, like I said, I went through this really keenly, and it kills me that we've taken so much out of reserves and we're only putting, a little bit in, and my vote is actually to put even less in, but I just don't think that people can bear it this year, so, but that's just my brother. I know that it's a sound recommendation from staff. I know it's sound. And I know that, the movers and the haters and the mayors will, believe in that. I just, that's just my feeling. Councillor Dick.
I agree with what you say. But I also think that only a minority of the people in town here will find this a hardship. Most people, it's not gonna be a big deal. And I am optimistic. Things are gonna get better. They are. And we just have to suck it up now, get a little bit more money in the kitty, and then we're not going backwards. So I vote for this.
Yeah.
Number 3.
I was just thinking, looking at our demographics, I don't know that the burden is okay to bear. I just knowing, it's a hard time out there right now. Everybody is struggling with everything. There's nothing that people are not struggling with, so.
You should see how much money I'm lending my kids.
Right? Yeah.
Can I talk to you after the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, further discussion that's not about borrowing money from Councillor Deck at the council table. Please, anything further on the scenarios, how what that's looking like? Are people comfortable with it? We're okay? I'm gonna call the question. All in favor?
I
And I'm opposed.
You want that recorded?
It always is.
Good.
Right?
It
Correct, staff?
it is always recorded, but it's never in the minutes. Only put it in the minutes if it's requested.
Oh,
I
always put my nays in the minutes.
move that you.
Blanket request. No. Please, sir. Okay, we are on to a traffic and bylaw, traffic and, oh, yes, we have to do that last part. So following the selection of the tax rate, we have to incorporate the finalized budget. So the motion is that, I'm gonna try this, that council tells staff to incorporate the finalized operating budget into the 2025 to 2026 to 2030 financial plan with the tax information included.
Yeah, I think you can even just say as presented.
As
I
presented,
don't think there's anything.
as presented.
Second that.
Okay,
Good.
all in favor?
Okay.
Not because I wasn't in favor of the tax rate. Oh, I guess it's because it encompasses the operating budget. Doesn't matter if I'm for or against, it passes. Okay, so that's why that piece was there. Now we are on to the traffic and parking bylaw. Proposed changes to parking. So we have asked this to come back at a committee of the whole meeting quite a few months ago. There are some changes that staff has made to it. There is a report that says the amendments that will all be included. And then thank you for including the entire bylaw as amended so we can have a look at it as a whole. I noticed there are some mapping changes as well. And then there are an additional or there's additional commercial rates and changes to the per households amounts. So that basically encapsulates all of those. CAO?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything that you wanted to kind of highlight for us in here or jog our memories about or?
I don't think so. I just would like to say that I've spoken to two of the bigger commercial users and they're satisfied with the new area for parking. They're like a longer term commercial parking. And last year, really, it was just one of the commercial users was our sort of one that was having some difficulties with the changes. Everybody else seemed to roll out okay, so.
Okay, so these will encapsulate those. You've kind of had those conversations with people and
Yes.
got a little snapshot of what that would look
Yes.
like. Okay, perfect. So we're always making improvements. Commercial, the residential First Nation pass. This will, I believe, the implications are the financial that this will increase. I believe that 100%, as Councillor Janice said earlier, that we're gonna have a booming year. It's gonna be gangbusters around here. So there's our added revenue, people.
Parking.
Kidding.
know.
It'll help, helps, absolutely. And then, there will be a conversation about having somebody to monitor and go through this as well.
We've just retained the contract that we had last year.
Okay, yeah, those, but that's moving forward and will be
Yes.
something that continues so we can encapsulate as much as we can.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Okay, so, directions, you need, well, there's recommendations on here, but let's talk about the changes if you guys want. What do the changes look like to you? Agree, disagree? How are we feeling? Councillor Deck?
Yeah. Assuming 8 trailers and 5 months of operation, the combined cost would be $4,800. Does anyone here know how much a fishing guide costs for 2 days, a weekend? For 2 people? It's approaching $5,000. That's one weekend for two people. There's a lot of money going back to Alberta at this rate.
I mean, it is up to us to talk about the rates and things. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're doing, is we're reviewing
Yeah.
this. Absolutely.
So therefore, my point is, without being too sarcastic, this cost of $4,800 doesn't bother me that much. Because I know how much these fishing charter guys are making per person, per day.
Do you have us?
Uh, I don't have a valid suggestion. I'm just whining and crying, but, if we're going to give them a bit of a discount, let's not give it a big discount.
So are you talking about then upping the annual commercial fee?
And.
You can ask questions of the CAO, please
Yeah, I'm
do.
going to, if I may.
Yeah.
ask, how much is the annual commercial fee now? $4,800?
Annual commercial fee with proof of business license. For a vehicle only it'd be $240 for the year. A trailer $240, and then combined $480 for the year.
Just double.
Okay, so 480, and if they had 10 trucks and trailers, it'd be 4,800.
Correct.
Right. Do you think that's out of line?
No.
Do you think that's too much?
No.
No, nor do I. Okay.
No, that's if they had a vehicle and a trailer.
Yeah,
And for the most part, they use one, there's, you know, they're just trailering, right? They're swapping out, they're cleaning their boats, they're launching, unlaunching.
Yeah.
Launch is also a cost.
Yes.
So
and
there's
they
that.
do use one truck generally to move them back and forth, but then they have half a dozen cars parked there for the staff. This I know because I live across from the parking lot.
Well,
I know.
and it's really not about one business, it's about making it, yeah, right? It's about like for the, because there are a few operators in the
Oh,
community,
I
right?
know.
So,
Yeah, I saw another one come in a couple of days ago. And his boat and trailer were parked on Bronze Mechanical Corporation there.
So is your point that you want to raise that fee, or that you want to, that you agree with it? I'm not sure where you're, yeah.
No, when I read this first, I thought that they were, the commercial people were complaining about the cost. This cost. Is that true?
No, when I spoke to both, they're very over what was presented last year. They're extremely happy with what we're presenting this year. Yes.
So then what's the comparison from last year?
Last year they would have been, just look at,
600 bucks.
120 a month.
yeah, 120 a month. So that would have been,
600.
yeah,
5 months, 600 bucks.
yeah,
That's
per trailer.
for a trade, just a trailer.
For just a trailer. And the reason that I promoted this commercial is going back to the conversation we had about economic development. Without tourism, without, sports fishing, recreation, that would really decrease the amount of tourism traffic coming here. So I think it behooves us as a municipality to encourage some commercial entities to be here and attract those people to spend their money at the restaurants and gas stations.
Yes, but how much of that money lands in Zeballos? That these tourists to come and catch all our fish, spend here. It will be good for the Zeballos Inn, great, because we want to have a motel and a restaurant, indeed. But besides that, all the money goes to the fishing businesses, the charters. We don't see any of it. Really,
Some
because there's,
tax revenue for properties,
yes,
parking
but
from people that come and drive here and
yeah,
use the
so
park.
this is about it that we actually see anything from.
I'm just telling you it's not.
And yet, it's not nothing, but,
Supply and demand as well, so,
Yeah.
you know, if the hotel is at max capacity over the season, that might spur somebody else on to open up another motel.
yes, yes, it might. But again, the money from that motel, the piddly taxes we charge them, how much profit are they making? You know, we gotta get some of that money somehow, but pardon me all to hell for rambling on. I thought this was a new number that they were complaining about, but I have no problems with your new number, CAO. I'm good with that.
That was a question,
Okay,
probably through
please.
if I can have a turn. So are we gonna let any commercial person, business in town have as many of these as they want?
Yeah, absolutely,
That's where
because
we're at.
we now have a lot that can accommodate that.
If our lot fills up here, is that gonna be an overflow?
Yes, we've already got that established in the map, and that's at the RV park.
Are we gonna make sure that every single trailer and vehicle is properly licensed?
We can do that. We haven't strictly enforced that. But we did do minimal enforcement last year. And definitely make that part of the purview.
I think that, that last part is important. I think that, it should be reinforced because if something goes wrong, we need to be able to identify whose trailer or vehicle it is. And I think there'd be some temptation to park things that weren't properly identifiable from people, who knows where, or who knows who or where, when, but I mean, we are in Zeballos. So I think that's just an important thing, to protect all the other people that are gonna park there, right? You know, if something goes wrong and somebody gets hit with the trailer or, we gotta be able to identify whose it was, so they can't just walk away from it.
And that is part of our current bylaw.
It is,
The
it is.
existing bylaw. Yeah.
But I'm gonna just reinforce it on the second area here, on the commercial area. So. And, no, I think it's reasonable. I think that's totally cool. I think that, it gives everybody a little bit of value, right? With the right people, so. Yes.
I think it did come up a bit, I really do, considering what we originally came up with, but that's just my brothers. I also know that that is not a secure place. So, that is an unsecured. And also, I don't know, so are you going to do a different ticketing mechanism? A different permitting mechanism, so you have pink spaces for the commercial? I don't, I'm not saying that any commercial operator is gonna do this, but I do know with the rotation of all of the various vehicles going through all the various businesses with all of our commercial operators, that there is a great, you know, there could be an opportunity to say, good, got my commercial, I'm done, great. Now I need it here because the boats, and then that there will be a kind of a muddying of the areas that they can park in. So are you going to do like a special permit that's attached to your whatever for which parking lot you're going to? Or is it going to be you pay for a commercial and then you just park in the overflow anyway?
No, that was very specifically in this bylaw, is that there is now a commercial lot.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but what is prohibiting someone from buying a commercial ticket and then going and parking in the overflow?
The 30-day limit.
Okay, So can you see do you think of any, like, can you think of any scenario that may present itself that you would find that you have a bunch of commercial tickets out? And for people that have licenses and that the commercial lot's empty?
With bylaws, with anything in a municipality, anything is possible, and we navigate it the best that we can.
Okay.
Um,
And I'm not saying that anybody is trying to get one over on anybody or anything like that, but there is ease of availability. And unless you're actually marketing and giving people a sticker that you put on, here's a tag and it's your pink tag, and that is what you bought and that's where you go, and you go in this pink painted area, then that's kind of the only way to really man that appropriately. So I'm just thinking of, I'm always devil's advocate. I don't think anybody's gonna do that, but it is, it's human nature to get what you can for what you can, right? So, Councillor Duff.
For me though, I got my permit and I was quite impressed that not the weather person, but the receptionist, wrote down the color of my truck, the license plate of my boat trailer, the type of trailer it was. So it's gonna make it a little harder for skullduggery if you have all this information. Go, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Or what's this permit doing on this trailer here? This doesn't belong to this one. So I think you've got a pretty good system already. And we're not gonna get everybody, but that'll cut it down.
You think the monitoring person is privy to all that information as well and can go and check those? Perfect, we've got fail safes.
Yeah.
And we had, believe it or not, very few issues last year. The biggest one was with the commercial
Mhm.
people. So now we've developed a system that can support them instead of, ostracizing them. Now we're supporting them. And they were really the biggest issue last year.
Yeah, that was the, oh, 1 second,
Yep,
car
yep.
project, and the liability and those kind of, how to deal with the people falling through the cracks is essentially, I don't think that anybody's, has intent, at least I would hope that no one has any intent to rip anybody off, but if you can get something for
Yeah.
nothing, you can get something for nothing. Councillor Deck.
Thank you, Mayor, to the CAO. We did have one big problem over at the overflow lot. It's that green 2000 Ford 250.
Yes, I spoke to the owner of making sure it was.
Guess what? It's no longer here. It's in Parksville. That made it all the way without breaking down.
The owner is a wanker.
He is a wanker.
We are in a public meeting. Please refrain from calling anybody a wanker, but.
Is that a bad word?
No,
God, that's
the connotation that you said it with, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
an Englishmanism. Carry on. Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
meant.
back to, any other questions or comments? I had a question about the map. What is this refuse?
That's exactly what you were speaking about earlier, when everything is so full.
We're gonna take away RV sites.
No,
Okay,
no, it's,
explain this to me. That was my question.
so there's a rock that's in between, where the BC Hydro building is and the first RV site. You could probably get 10 to 12 trailers in there.
On the RV side of the fence
Yes,
between the first, for the first site.
no, the last site.
The
Yeah.
end site, yeah,
Yeah.
it's closest to the, is there gonna be any like fencing or, any kind of policing of that? I hate that word, but you know what I mean, any kind of cordoning that off in a very kind of confrontational way to make sure that people know about that?
And we haven't seen the lots get so full that we need that, but if they do, then yes, we'll be very specific with
Okay,
is where they're to go. And As our parking attendant is also our campground attendant.
Perfect, then it ties in with each other.
Yeah.
Just making sure that people know it's just a very large portion that looks like all of the RV park in your map, so you might want to shorten that up. Cool, okay, I also had questions about the intent then would be to park commercial vehicles in the grassy area or on the tennis court, whatever, it's skate park.
On the skate park, the former skate park.
Okay, so we're gonna take a park and turn it into a parking lot.
Council made that decision.
To make it a parking lot. We are making that now.
No, it was already made.
Was it?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good then. We just have to take it out if we want to build houses on there.
They can all move.
Yeah.
Okay. So recommendation out of there as well. There is one entailed in the report. It is on page. Well, mine says 2 of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move that staff bylaw to amend the Zeballos traffic and parking bylaw number 557-2025 be presented at the April 28th, 2006 regular council meeting for first, second, and third readings.
Second that.
Thank you, Councillor Deck. Process wise, why is this one up for first, second, and third, and the other ones were only up for first?
That's a good question.
I wrote this report and Alana wrote.
Okay, it's just interest. Okay, yes,
I'll defend myself.
please.
Reading with an X.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you.
And these are only recommendations.
Of course, and they'll come to ratification, but I was like, oh, why are we only doing, why is this so different? What's happening here? Perfect. Any other questions or comments?
Yes,
Yes.
I think that there's some merit when you said that this was kind of a park. But, you know, this is like also like experimental. And this is us in a positive way trying to solve problems and move forward with what we're trying to develop. And I really like this. I really like how this worked out because I think everybody around can leave happy with what the conclusion is, right? And I think we can work. We can work on this idea in bigger processes and principles and factors in our life as a council and in our community and try to like make sure that everybody feels good about what they're walking away from, right? And this is a positive thing for us. Thank you.
You're here.
All in favor?
Right?
Any opposed? Carried. Last item on the agenda is new business, and it's a letter to BC Hydro requesting hydro maintenance work plan. This is another one that I sent in an email. Do we want to write to BC Hydro? I think I went through it all in the email. There was maintenance plan. There was some questions that we wanted to ask of Hydro, just trying to get ahead of outages for next year. What happened with last year's large long-term? I tried to find the email, but I don't know. There was a bunch of questions in there and a bunch of things that I talked to Chief Simon about. That we thought that if we could work together and hold Hydro's kind of feet to the fire and ask them at least what happened during the last extended outage, what was their kind of maintenance plan? There was a bunch of items in that email that we could just write a letter and ask them to present to us. Yay or nay?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Write the letter.
Okay. I will find it and it will of course come to you guys as a draft and you'll be able to say yes or no and before I send that out and anything that you want added to it. I think it was brushing right of way, maintenance plan, it's kind of synopsis of what happened last time. It's basically. That's so that.
Yeah, because Hydro spent so much time here in Zeballos last summer, fall, changing transformers, doing this, doing that. And I thought, whoa, it's gonna be a good year. What happened?
Well, they also have done a great job out at, all the way to Little Zeballos, so that's all been done as well.
Yeah.
Rangers went out there and they said that's like, they went out and they were like, oh, wow, okay, BC Hydro's been here and they've done a bunch of work. So, so that's good. But it's just getting to what happens with those areas that they can't get to and what can we be promoting within trails, parks, forestry, what can we be doing to help? We want to help them to help us.
Yeah. Very good.
Reciprocal relationship, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. So, do you want a recommendation
Yes, please.
that the mayor work with the CAO to write a letter to BC Hydro regarding, remote transmission lines, maintenance plans, and best practice knowledge from last year's outage. And that EHADASAT is CC'd on it.
Second one.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Thank you, God.
No, I didn't. I didn't close.
Watch the video. No, I'll come back. I'll reiterate that. But the mayor, right, the letter is suggested here by council. No, that's a bad motion
Best practices.
from last significant outage. Or a synopsis of last significant outage. We really want to know what's going wrong, why is it going wrong, how can we help, how can we facilitate conversations or something? And BC is always available, BC Hydro is always available to us, they tell us not to wait till UBCM, so let's have those conversations.
Okay, no,
Was there a seconder?
Yes,
Yeah.
Lord Lewis.
He was too busy writing to hear that. Any other questions about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. No on camera, no nothing else.
How's it going?
Thanks, folks. It is, they just keep
That was
getting
one
better.
nice meeting. Yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Carried.